I want to emphasize, and Mama Sembo will put more emphasis. General Aronda got the bull by the horns when he became Minister of Internal Affairs by ensuring a project that had eluded many leaders and technocrats, the project of national registration, national identification, in a space of a very little time. Not only did he make plans for this project to take off, you will be told in a space of 4 months, he registered 16 million citizens. Since he left, those who repressed him are still finding it difficult to suit that shoe. You can be shocked to know that 9 years down the road, since he left, only something like 10 more citizens have been registered. This shows you the person this general was. His spirit, really we think, should be evoked whenever we are getting challenges. So as a minister, he made a footprint in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And that's why in these arrangements of these events, the Ministry of Internal Affairs is very actively participating and will be highly involved. And that's why you see NIRA, that's why you see immigration, they still feel his spirit in the corridors. Finally, let me take this opportunity to Henry Mascot, Joint Staff Political Commissar, and being staff, we all present, we work on behalf of the leadership of the UPDF, from the Command-in-Chief, but specifically the Chief of Defense Forces. So whatever we are presenting here, we are amplifying the message of the Chief of the Defense Forces. Friends from the media, as you have been told, the late Honorable General Aronda Nyakayirima, who passed on 9 years ago, died as a serving minister, and particularly in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. That's why that sector is represented here. But particularly, he had a long a long impact on the growth of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, not only as a modern commander, but also as a freedom fighter. The general will be remembered for his invaluable achievements and contribution to Uganda's security, political and socio-economic landscape, and his Pan-Africanist approach to regional issues, particularly in the integration of the East African community. So we are planning this event, which we've dubbed the first Kampala Defense Expo, that will Defense and Security Expo, that will run under the theme celebrating the life of Honorable General Aronda Nyakayirima, whom we have described as a paragon of revolutionary sacrifice, Pan-Africanism, patriotism, courage, and an accomplished freedom fighter. This will be the overriding theme, as you can see in the background. General Aronda has a family life. He was born in the district of Rukunjiri, the old Chigezi, and had the normal young life until he decided to put his life for the freedom of this country. He went through many of the necessary preparation, both as a freedom fighter in the bush, but most important, as a leader of our force soon after the liberation in 1986. He's particularly remarkably remembered for having made a big impact in terms of the modernization and professionalization of the force. You may wonder, is something abnormal? No. Memorials, a culture of remembering life and contributions of illustrious persons of a nation, is a major building block in instilling and inculcating norms and values of what the country would wish to be. Norms like and values like patriotism, the sense of sacrifice, courage, innovation. We think people, institutions, excuse me, governments hold these memorials to empower the upcoming generations. Even yesterday I was watching one of the big media spaces, I think CNN, United States. I was having a memorial event, and all their leaders were on that platform trying to rally the country, trying to bring the old generation in a link with the new generation. Memorials could be in the form of tributes accorded through talks, lectures, and workshops. They can be in the form of objects. You can say, we put this big building in the memory of somebody. And sometimes they can be in the form of monuments. In light of the context of these memorials, the strategic leadership chose to commemorate the late General Aronda, marking 9 years since his tragic demise. We are, particularly as UPDF, joining other institutions. You've been having the Bank of Uganda, they memorize Mubiru, Parliament, and others. But particularly for us is to pass on the values of this illustrious son to the new generation of our young people, the new and the future of UPDF. I want to draw your attention to some of these which should be captured as we prepare this event that is starting on the 10th and going on up to 12th. It's a 3-day memorial event. What are we really capturing? What is this General Aronda we are celebrating? We look at his unique leadership qualities. General Aronda was an exemplary leader. He communicated in detail, articulated tasks, and ensured he didn't leave them hanging. His philosophy was work, work, work. You could never find that this is a bedtime for General Aronda. Whether at 2 a.m. he would be working for this country. He had a talent and a trait of delegating and trusting those he worked with. He was an epitome. He was very, very ethical. This is a matter that occupies space in the media. Ethics and integrity. He was an epitome of ethics and integrity and an ardent fighter of corruption. He was really against indiscipline in the army. He spearheaded the professionalization. He was passionate about training standards. He spearheaded establishment of centers of excellence in terms of training our armed forces. Most of them, our modern schools, emerged during his time. Significantly, he was our first Chief of Defense Forces, meaning earlier on we had army commanders, but that's when we were one service. But when the army or the force became two services, he was the one who pioneered. As our Chief of Defense Forces, he guided the systematic reorganization of the UPDF, overseeing the defense review and reform exercise that transformed UPDF from a single service to a by-service, among other developments. The improvement of welfare, General Aronda will always be remembered because he is the hand behind what you hear today as the mighty Wazalendo Circle, one of our key pillars in the welfare of the UPDF. General Aronda was at the center of all of the main campaigns that broke the back of Joseph Kony, the Rhodes Resistance Army, through successful campaigns such as Iron Fist. We shall always salute his resoluteness. He followed Kony in Sudan, and that marked the beginning of peace in northern Uganda. Alongside, at the same time, initiating the disarmament and pacification of Karamoja. As you will be covering our events, you will see representation from those regions. Many of the leaders in Karamoja and Acholi will ever be grateful for the role and the personal touch General Aronda put in those campaigns. We remember General Aronda being at the helm, consolidating the new services, especially the Air Force. Again, as we are saying, he's a paragon of many things. General Aronda was an accomplished Pan-Africanist who leveraged and strengthened Uganda's defense diplomacy in the region and aggressively pursued the president's vision of speedy integration of East Africa. And many East Africans really miss his contribution. Honorable General Aronda was also very instrumental in the legislation process. He was one of the many long-serving members of Parliament representing UPDF. We are following in his footsteps, but he not only served as a member of Parliament, he served as a representative of UPDF in the Constituent Assembly. So also our legislative arm know and remember the passion with which he made contribution to ensure people legislated for the country in national interest. And he's on record for having advocated for the continued presence of UPDF, knowing the history of this country, continued presence of UPDF in the Parliament. His argument, which is valid, was that the army staying out of the political arena invited them to mess up the country even more. So keep them near the political process for purposes of harmony and stability. So he served diligently in that area, and the legislators remember him for that. Honorable General Aronda joined cabinet as a Minister of Internal Affairs. Members of the media